Today, we are diving into a topic that trips up so many teams: how to actually integrate Zoho CRM with ChatGPT. We're going to show you the exact architecture that works so you can stop wrestling with all those errors and finally start building some cool stuff. Let's get right into it. If you've tried to make this connection, this question probably sounds, well, painfully familiar. It's that moment of pure frustration when you realize something that should be simple just isn't. This is where most people figure out they've been going about it all wrong from the start.
And these are the symptoms, right? You're seeing empty function payloads, these bizarre 401 errors that make no sense, and OAuth tokens that just refuse to cooperate. But the most maddening part? It probably worked perfectly in the preview, and then the second it goes to production, poof, it dies. And you've got zero useful logs to tell you why.
So what's the deal? What is actually going on here? Well, the root of all this trouble comes from a basic misunderstanding of how Zoho is built. You see, it's not one single system, it's really two completely separate worlds.
On one side, you've got the Zoho REST API. Think of this as the public front door. It's built for outside systems to talk to, but it has a bouncer, a full OAuth security process. On the other side, you have Zoho Functions. These are like the internal, staff-only hallways. They're designed for things happening inside Zoho to trigger other things inside Zoho, not for some external tool to just show up and start making requests.
So here's the absolute bottom line. GPT can't handle the complex OAuth security at the front door, and it's not allowed in the internal staff passages. This leads us to the one truth you have to build your entire plan around. GPT cannot talk to Zoho directly, period. Any attempt to force it is just going to fail.
Okay, so if a direct connection is out of the question, what's the answer? You need a bridge. You need a middle layer that knows how to talk to both systems the way they want to be talked to.
And that bridge is what we call middleware. It's basically a secure go-between that does all the heavy lifting that GPT can't. It handles the whole authentication dance, it securely holds onto the tokens, and it pretty much acts like a bodyguard for your CRM data. Now, the source article points to a few solid options for this. The main recommendation is Zoho's own tool, MCP, which is literally built for this kind of thing. But if you're doing more custom work, a tool like N8N or even a simple custom-built proxy works great too. So this is the flow that actually works. And notice the direction. The whole thing starts inside Zoho. Zoho calls out to the middleware, which then handles the secure chat with GPT. GPT sends its analysis back to the middleware, which then hands it back to Zoho. And here is the most critical part. Zoho itself performs the final safe write into the CRM. GPT never, ever touches your data directly. All right, enough of the technical stuff. With the right setup, what can you actually do? Let's look at some really powerful use cases. This is where you get to stop debugging and start delivering some serious value. I mean, this setup opens up some amazing possibilities. You could automatically enrich new leads with data from the web, or get instant summaries and sentiment analysis for support tickets right inside Zoho Desk. You can triage incoming emails, pull key insights from call recordings, or even extract data from contracts and forms, all automatically. But to get to all that cool stuff, you've got to know what not to do. So let's quickly run through the 5 big architectural mistakes that will send you right back to square one with all those frustrating errors. These are the traps you have to avoid. First, don't ask GPT to handle OAuth. It can't. Second, never post directly to those internal function URLs from the outside. Third, and this is a huge security risk, don't hard code access tokens anywhere. Fourth, never ever let GPT write directly into your CRM. And finally, don't try to use Zoho Flow as a full-on security proxy. It's just not what it's built for. You can really see the difference here, side by side. Instead of GPT fumbling with OAuth, a proper mediator handles it. Instead of hitting the wrong internal URLs, an orchestrator calls the right external API. And instead of letting GPT write to the CRM, Zoho always does the final validated write. It's all about letting each piece do the job it was actually designed for. So let's wrap this up with 3 core principles. First, and this is the most important one, Zoho is your system of record. It's the source of truth, and you have to protect its integrity above all else. Second, GPT has a very specific job. It is the reasoning layer. It's there to analyze, to summarize, to classify, but it never owns the data and it never owns the security. And finally, that middle layer is your essential referee. It's the piece that sits in between, manages the rules, and keeps the whole system honest, secure, and working reliably.
When you build it this way, your CRM goes from being just a database to a true thinking partner. For a much deeper look with all the architecture diagrams and that full comparison table we showed, make sure you check out the original article over at clickslogics.com. It's really the complete playbook for getting this right.